Hello everyone! So, Windows 10 reaches its end of life on October 14, 2025, that's just a year and 3 months away. Meanwhile, it's still holding 66% of all Windows installations, running on 47% of all desktop computers. That's almost half. That's pretty significant, isn't it? Because of that, some folks are predicting a mass exodus of Windows 10 users who don't want to upgrade to Windows 11 after 4 years, moving to Linux, something that would never let them down, intentionally. Anyway, is Linux going to take over as Windows slowly fades away? In this video, I'll explain why 2025 or even 2030 is not going to be the year of Linux. First of all, why would Windows 10 users even want to move to Linux? After years of development, Windows 10 reached a quite high level of stability, unlike it was back in 2015. That's a typical scenario for each widely used Windows release. Well, what about software compatibility? A great example is the Arc browser. It used not to support Windows 10 until June 2024. However, in reality, it just required an offline installer and minor XML editing. Another example is Intel's Red Director, which is claimed to support only Windows 11. Meanwhile, it can also function properly on Windows 10. Well, Intel is known for abandoning things released earlier than yesterday. It happens as Windows 11 has the same anti-kernel with Windows 10, 10.0. As of now, any program or driver that can run on Windows 11 can also run on Windows 10. Probably, at some point, there will be some major change in the anti-kernel that will abort that so-called forward compatibility, at least for drivers. For now, nothing like that is going to happen. Moreover, some gifted people make extended kernels for old Windows releases such as One Core API for Windows XP and a similar thing for Windows 7. One day, when it becomes essential, such a thing will surely be created for Windows 10. Okay, what about security? Generally, there are two types of threat causes. The first one is outdated real-time antivirus, and the second one is vulnerabilities in the OS itself. The first one shouldn't be bothered about. Even Windows Vista still gets such updates for Windows Defender. A decade forward, or even further, no need to worry about that. However, such updates don't patch vulnerabilities. In most cases, while Windows 11 will be kept up to date, vulnerabilities in Windows 10 will be exposed for malware. It's not frequent, but sometimes even Common Sense, which is the best antivirus of all time, and an up-to-date web browser won't be able to protect you. So, what can users do about that? Well, firstly, people could simply hack Accent security updates and get them for free, just like they did with Windows 7. It's just for 3 years, but it's already quite significant. Another solution could be upgrading to another edition of Windows 10. It can be done by editing the registry. Windows 10 IoT Enterprise LTSC 2021, which is based on 21H2, lets you continue getting security updates until early 2032. It will be over 6 years later than the end of life for regular editions. Obviously, people could also upgrade to Windows 11, but I doubt that if they have been staying on Windows 10 for 4 years after the Windows 11 release. The upgrade has its pros and cons, but that's a different topic. So, as people generally don't tend to care much about end of life of some Windows release, they'll probably stick with Windows 10 for several years after 2025. Meanwhile, the most die-hard users will last for much longer. Also, the current situation can be compared to 2012, when Windows 8 was released. Nearly everyone who had been using previous versions of Windows hated it and didn't want to upgrade from Windows 7 or even XP. Windows 10 was majorly improved in many ways, including the Start menu, which became much more convenient to use. However, it had its own issues, which were mostly caused by broken mandatory updates. It could potentially lead to the end of Windows domination, with its market share dropping by several times, but just didn't happen. People got used to it, as in 2018, Windows 10 became the most widely used version of Windows, even though there is still a whole community of tens of thousands of Windows 7 users who prefer it over anything newer. Anyway, why would die-hard Windows 10 users stick to it when they can just switch to something based on the Linux kernel? Of course, some people plan to do that, but far from the most. Also, it's much better to switch right now, so there is more time to learn it. However, market share of Linux hasn't grown much since October 2021, when Windows 11 was released. It went from 2.2% to 4.5%. That's a large relative growth, but it's still quite small. Okay, let's assume that most people who plan to switch to Linux will do that at the last moment. What are they going to go through? First of all, we need to understand that Linux shouldn't be treated as a replacement for Windows. It's a completely different kernel. Unlike ReactOS, it has completely different systems of disk management, file systems, and software architecture. It doesn't mean that those systems are bad, Linux just works in a different way. It all means that the user has to learn to use his computer from scratch, which may be complicated and exhausting. Also, their productivity will be greatly reduced, at least temporarily. Various forums are going to get a lot of new active members. To sum up, for a regular user, the option to stick with Windows 10, at least for a while, until the situation reaches a new point, will be much more attractive than going out of the comfort zone. So, is Linux going to obtain a larger piece of the pie? Yep, definitely. Linux has been growing for years, even though the speed was insanely low. It will just accelerate at some point. Is Windows going to dominate on the market for another decade, or maybe two? Well, it probably is. By the way, we might even get GTA 8 before ReactOS reaches beta testing. For now, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comments. As it's not 2026 yet, why don't we just wait here for a little while, see what happens. See you in the next video.